At the tumultuous intersection of modern steampunk ingenuity and ancient arcane mysteries runs the New Ark line, a fabled train chugging its way across the New World, in the process connecting all sorts of fairy tale immigrants to the world's preeminent technological superpower, the grand city of Newark. You arrive on the shores of a neighboring port town with a single suitcase, an ancient artifact, and a desperate need to reach Newark and discover a cure for your family's terminal disease. At least that's what I learned about New Ark Line from its Steam bio. Because between the game's chaotic fast-forward introductory sequence in which you come to in a crumbling world under Dragon Siege before being chastised by a strange judge about all the mistakes you made in your life, only to then go back in time to follow atypical quest lines that include orchestrating a politically charged play and then raiding a fairy dungeon filled with goblin orphans, well, let's just say I had next to no fucking clue what was happening in New Ark Line until about 10 hours in when I finally boarded the famed train, moments before the early access credits roll. But just because it's a bit wacky doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the ride. On the contrary, New Ark Line's fun balance between complex yet playful storytelling and simple if satisfying turn-based tactical combat had me drawing consistent parallels between it and one of my all-time favorites, Divinity Original Sin. When it comes to combat, New Ark Line features an up to 4-person tactical system that takes into account your base starting stats, upgradable skill points, perks, equipped items, and weapon, the latter of which gives players unique abilities like a trickshot pistol that can ricochet through enemies, or power gloves that can uppercut an enemy sky high, lining it up just right for a rifle-wielding player's attack of opportunity. The end result is an engaging combat experience that benefits from a nice variety of enemy types and fairly balanced difficulty throughout. But let's back up for a second, all the way back in fact to the game's character creation menu. As is often the case for the genre, New Ark Line gives you next to no context when rolling your playable character, and it can be tempting to spread the love by speccing a Jack or Jill of all trades. But as subsequent party members join up, their highest skill point is what the entire party gets to use. For example, the massive Mick has high athletics, which is used to manipulate the environment, and intimidation, which is used to bully NPCs around during conversation. So it doesn't really matter how high these are for other characters. I would also recommend rolling a Voodoo Shaman character at the game's start instead of the Diesel Engineer I mained, and yes, those are the only 2 playable classes at the moment, as the 3 party members you'll pick up along the way cover the game's other bases pretty well. Oh, and as a mage, you'll also gain access to the Reality Rift, a fun little card crafting system you can use to create new spells. There doesn't seem to be much else in the way of non-combat in New Ark Line at the moment, so let's skip ahead to style. When it comes to visuals, New Ark Line is about as pretty as it is pretty ugly. At times, lighting will reflect off the puddles on a bright and bustling city street, and you'll think to yourself, this game looks pretty nice. And then you'll get to the next cutscene and endure jerky animations, clipping, and some of the worst lip-syncing I've seen this decade, and think, actually, this game looks rather shit.
You think I'd leave a gig where the money falls like rain?
The same inconsistency can be heard in New Ark Line's energetic, if repetitive soundtrack, and mercurial sound design, which can go from this to this. And it's probably around now you're realizing that despite some similarities, New Ark Line is, at least on day 1 of early access, nowhere near the masterpiece that was Divinity. Indeed, the game's pathing is atrocious, with NPCs bumping into you repeatedly during conversation. The UI is clunky and inventory management lacks basic quality of life features. The world and NPCs aren't as responsive to your actions as they should be. And the single boss fight I experienced, if you could call it that, lasted all of 2 minutes. Still, for day 1 and $20, I think New Ark Line has enough going for it to recommend to fans of story-heavy turn-based RPGs, and I'm personally excited to see how the game evolves throughout early access. I'm giving it a subject to change aggregate megascore of 3.29 out of 5, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the game or my review. Until next time, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.